Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my first impressions plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas Gloro 16.1 in the vivid red, black, and white colorway. Now inside the box, all you get are the shoes themselves. They do not come with any extras. So let me get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the brand new Adidas Gloro 16.1, which is the replacement model for the original Adidas Gloro, which came out not too long ago. So this is kind of Adidas's variation of the Nike Premier, if you will. It's a more value-oriented, traditionally styled shoe, and at the $110 price tag, you're actually getting a pretty good deal here with the Gloro 16.1, which of course we're going to talk about in today's video. So we're going to go over the tech specs, we're going to talk about the new performance features and changes coming from the original Gloro. We're going to take a look at the weight of the shoe, and of course take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more about the new Gloro 16.1, please stick around and watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $110 retail price in several colorways right off the bat. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's go over all the tech specs and talk about key performance characteristics of the Gloro 16.1 that you should know about if you're planning on picking these up. Now, who is the Gloro 16.1 for? Obviously, it's a budget-oriented model. It's for somebody who's looking for a more traditional feel and obviously wants a kangaroo leather upper. With that being said, I really don't think that this is a better option than the Adidas Copa Mundial if you're looking for good quality leather and just a premium traditional feel in general. The Copa Mundial is one of the best soft leather shoes that money can buy. With that being said, the Gloro 16.1 is significantly cheaper and appeals to, I would say, a younger demographic. This is for somebody who perhaps is on a lower budget, still wants a traditional feel with kangaroo leather, but at the same time wants something that's a little bit more sleek, a little bit more modern looking than what you get with the Copa, and at the same time has a more modern fit, and of course a more modern aggressive stud pattern that you won't get with the Adidas Copa Mundial. So it kind of is a standalone product in the Adidas line, doesn't really compare too well to anything else other than the Nike Premier. So the Nike Premier is in a similar price category to that of the Gloro 16.1. And as good as I think this shoe is, I really think the Nike Premier is a very, very worthy competitor. So if you're considering the Gloro 16.1, have a look at the Nike Premier as well. There are several videos up on my channel, and expect a comparison video between the Gloro 16.1 and the Nike Premier in the near future. So what exactly are you getting here with the Gloro 16.1? The upper is partially made from kangaroo leather and majority made from synthetic, which is a bit of a bummer, but kind of expected at this particular price point. So as far as the amount of kangaroo leather you're getting on the upper, it's very similar to what we got on the original Gloro. It spans from this seam right here on the lateral side, runs through the forefoot and toe box area, and then cuts off at pretty much the exact same point here on the medial side. So not a ton of leather on the shoe, and as you guys can see by the actual design and the stitching pattern, it's a little bit different than the original Gloro. You don't have stitching going across similar to the Copa. You have minimal stitching going across the top and outlining the toe area. This is obviously going to make for a little bit more of a sleek look. It's not necessarily going to change the feel of the shoe, and if anything, it's just going to make it a little bit more flexible and a little bit more natural, especially once broken in. Kangaroo leather obviously will soften up and stretch a little bit, but again, this is not going to have a major impact on performance whatsoever. I think it was a more of a aesthetic thing as opposed to an actual performance feature at the end of the day. So the quality of the kangaroo leather is pretty decent. I would argue it's a little bit thicker than what we got on the original Gloro, and certainly not as nice as what you're going to get with the Copa Mundial, but not too shabby at the $110 price tag, so no major complaints there. One thing to note though, despite this shoe kind of having more of a sleek, thin look to it, it is not thin whatsoever. It's a pretty heavily padded shoe. So if you want that really nice kind of thick padded leather feel, that's kind of what this is going to offer, especially at the front of the shoe where the shoe is actually made from kangaroo leather. Now from the leather back, there is a synthetic material, and as you guys can see, it looks a lot better than what we got on the original Gloro, and I would argue it is a lot better. It's a lot more premium. It's a padded synthetic leather material, obviously not as nice as the kangaroo leather that you get at the front, but it still feels pretty good. And what's good about synthetic through the midfoot is not necessarily the touch aspect, because again, it doesn't feel as good as the kangaroo leather, but it's not going to allow the midfoot area of the shoe to stretch, which is going to make for a more responsive feel in the long run, which is never a bad thing. As far as the lacing system is concerned, you can see it runs right through the middle. Nothing too crazy there. They did change up the tongue, the fold-over flap tongue design with the elasticated strap that we did get on the original Gloro, which is probably for the better. I like the retro styling of the original Gloro, but I think more people are going to go for this type of a design, and that it's just, like I said, a little bit less bulky, a little bit more sleek, and the tongue really serves no purpose other than just extra bulk on top of your foot that isn't really necessary. As positive as I think the changes have been to the upper coming from the original Gloro to the 16.1, I still have my complaints in regards to the tongue, which just is unnecessarily cheap for this particular shoe. I realize it's a budget-oriented model, but I just don't think they had to do it like this. You can see it has this kind of embossed triangle pattern right here on the tongue, which is nothing special. It looks cool, but really serves no purpose as far as performance is concerned. It's made from this very thin, cheap synthetic material that really has no structure to it whatsoever. And then they put this really kind of clunky liner on the back of it that's kind of semi padded. It's really unusual. And then they stitched it kind of curving around here closer towards the top. So there's just a lot of extra bulk that isn't super noticeable now, but you guys will definitely see what I'm talking about when the shoes are actually on my feet. It just makes for a lot of extra material in this area of the foot that doesn't necessarily need to be there. So probably my least favorite feature of the new Gloro 16.1. But nonetheless, it's not uncomfortable or anything like that. It's just something that feels a little bit unnecessarily bulky, if that makes any sense. Moving on to the rear of the shoe, you do have an internal plastic heel counter, as you guys can't actually see, but I can assure you that it is in fact there. They changed the cut a little bit. It's got more of a rounded back as opposed to a squared off back like we got on the original Gloro, but no major differences there. It's almost going back to the original 11 Pro models that have had a similar cut and feel in the heel area. The liner on the inside is a smooth synthetic leather with a little bit of perforation there, so decent padding as well. No real issues with step-in comfort. Just like the original Gloro, the insole is technically non-removable. It's just, you could pull it out if you wanted to, it's glued in, but it's just a flat layer of foam with a mesh liner on top, nothing too fancy. It does get the job done. I wish it was removable, the insole on the Nike Premier, which again is a similarly styled, similarly priced shoe that does have a removable insole. So again, kind of something you expect at this price point, but not really a deal breaker in my opinion if you were considering the Gloro 16.1. And then moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern, they have completely redesigned this. The original Gloro kind of recycled previous 11 Pro stud patterns and sole plates, whereas this one kind of has its own new thing. If anything, it's most similar to the original 11 Pro going back several models now, and it's actually really nice. It has a decent thickness to it, but it's also fairly flexible. It's just a standard TPU plastic material, and it has a pretty standard layout in that you have all conical studs. They're pretty much all the exact same shape, size, and length. But a lot more aggressive than what you got from the original Gloro, which is certainly not a bad thing. Has a really cool look to it. Definitely has more of a premium vibe, especially in comparison to the original Gloro. And as far as performance is concerned, it's, like I said, going to be very similar to that of the original 11 Pro. So you have studs that are conical in shape, but fairly long and narrow in profile, so they dig into the ground quite nicely and provide pretty good grip while still maintaining good maneuverability because they are rounded in shape. A lot more aggressive than what you're going to find from the Copa Mundial. And one thing to note, this is a firm ground only stud pattern as opposed to being FG-AG like the other lines from Adidas. So this is not to be worn on artificial grass. It's strictly intended to be used on natural grass, given that, like I said, it is only an FG stud pattern. So just keep that in mind. But that's pretty much it as far as tech specs go with the Gloro 16.1. I think it's a big improvement over the original Gloro and a much better competitor to that of the Nike Premier. But like I mentioned at the start, if you are considering the Gloro 16.1, go take a look at the Nike Premier as well, because like I said, they definitely do have a lot to offer as far as side-by-side comparison is concerned, and there will be a comparison video in the near future. In terms of weight, I thought we'd compare the original Gloro to that of the 16.1, just to see if there's any significant weight difference between the two, given the fairly large design change. So keep in mind, these are both in brand new condition and both the exact same size 9 US, so this is a very fair comparison. We'll start off with the original Gloro, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.5 ounces, the equivalent of 240 grams. So remember those numbers, change the scale back to ounces, pull these off, and we'll throw on the 16.1 model, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.25 ounces, the equivalent of 234 grams. So you're talking about a weight difference of 6 grams or 0.25 ounces, which is very, very small. Technically, the new model is a little bit lighter, but the weight difference is so minimal that it's almost insignificant. If weight is the deciding factor between the original Gloro and the Gloro 16.1, it shouldn't be, because like I said, they're pretty much the exact same weight, with the 16.1 having the very slight edge that, trust me when I say, you will not notice one bit when you're actually wearing the shoes. As far as aesthetics go, the Gloro 16.1, in my opinion at least, is a really good looking shoe. It's a major design change coming from the original Gloro, but I think most people would argue that the changes they've made are for the better. It's more sleek, it's more modern. It reminds me a lot of early Adipure and 11 Pro models, which in my opinion is not a bad thing at all. And if you ask me, I really feel like this is the best looking Adidas shoe that they're making at the moment. But again, everyone has their opinions on that. What's also cool about the launch of the Gloro 16.1 is that Adidas has given us 4 or 5 different colorways right off the bat. So you have some options to choose from if you were planning on picking these up, which is always nice to have. As far as this particular colorway is concerned, it features a vivid red upper, which looks really, really sharp. This nice kind of bright, darker red color you almost never see anymore. So to see it on the Gloro 16.1, that's mostly red in color, I think it just looks really, really good. A little more flashy, obviously, than a simple black or white color scheme would be, but if you like flashy, this might be the one for you. You have these nice white Adidas stripes, obviously on both the lateral and medial side. Pretty traditional styling from Adidas, with a nice white outline embroidered as well, which is kind of cool. Then you have a triangle pattern in clear coat running through the middle of the stripes, which you can't really see online, but hopefully you guys can see in the shadows here on this particular video. That same triangle pattern is continued on the actual tongue like I showed you earlier, and also across the bottom of the sole plate. So you have that little design element scattered across the entire shoe itself. Black tongue, black laces, white Adidas logo on the tongue. It says Gloro on the back of the heel embossed in the actual synthetic material. You have your leather stamping right there, which essentially just lets you know that there is natural leather on the upper of this shoe. And then going across the side here, which is something you don't really notice online, it has a bit of a fade going, so it's kind of silvery at the peel, and then it fades into a black closer towards the forefoot, kind of in the midfoot area. And then the entire sole plate features clear studs and is this kind of smoky clear black color, which I think again looks really, really cool. So overall, big fan of the look of the new Gloro 16.1. No complaints on my end, but I'd be curious to hear what your opinions are. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the Gloro 16.1s on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of black and red Crackle SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're very comfortable from right out of the box. It's a shape that is not too far off from the original Gloro, and that it's going to be suitable for most foot types. The biggest thing that you're going to notice as far as width difference is concerned is not so much the actual fit, but more so just the way the shoes look. You're going to notice that even on my feet, the sides of the shoe are very far apart. It looks like they are very narrow, but they aren't actually. The difference here, in comparison to the original Gloro that had the sides of the shoe come up a lot higher, these are a little bit lower. So it just makes the shoe look like it's a lot more narrow than it actually is. Essentially what they've done is just eliminate excess material on the sides of the upper for the sake of weight savings and just bulk in general. So like I said, it's going to be suitable for most people. It does have more of a leather shoe type of feel in terms of just being able to fit most people width-wise. So even if you do have wider feet, you shouldn't have too many issues with the Gloro 16.1 at all, especially in the forefoot and toe box area, because it is made from soft kangaroo leather that is going to stretch and soften up after break-in time. Whereas the synthetic through the midfoot, for the most part, it'll give a little bit, but it will maintain its shape the way it fits from right out of the box. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, they're going to be suitable for most foot types. And as far as comfort is concerned, no major complaints here at all. They're flexible out of the box. The sole plate feels really, really good. And again, it's just a nice, comfortable shoe. Simple styling, simple design, simple construction. It's kind of what you would expect. As far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here. And the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Adidas Gloro 16.1. Expect to see more follow-up content on this particular model in the very near future on my channel. In the meantime, if you are looking for more info, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find high quality images of this exact pair that'll give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $110 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding the Gloro 16.1, leave them down below in the comment section and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. All my social media information is linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.